Welcome back in another episode of Lost in Paris with Jazzabela. Jazz particularly has always moved forward for the voices that dare to speak honestly. As we remember, John Coltrane was one of these voices. That spirit continues for a different name. He is not only a part of the new generation of musicians, but he is as well a part of the jazz history. So, get comfortable or hold on tight. This is not another interview. This is the beginning of the powerful story. Isaiah Collier.
Oh.
Hi.
That was a good intro. I wasn't ready for that.
Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Absolutely.
That you're here with us in sunny Paris. For those who might not know who is Isaiah yet, I would like to say a few words. So, he is the arranger, composer, and multi-instrumentalist artist, and as well activist and educator. His music speaks of history, community, spirituality, and as well reflection. Young talent in an old soul. It seems like you come to Paris quite often.
The past few years has definitely been that way.
Yeah. Should we like consider to call you as a Parisienne?
Depending on how bad it gets.
All right. The Paris has a very long love story with jazz.
Yes.
Do you feel this connection when you come here?
You know, it's funny. We were just having this conversation before because we have saxophonist Tamoki Sanders with us tonight performing. And I was just informing them about 1918 when James reached Europe, came here and would introduce this music to the rest of the world. And my first tour in Paris was in 2018. And I was performing with Ernest Dawkins, who had a special project dedicated to James Reese Europe and the Harlem Hellfighters. And I had no idea that this would be the place where the first international connection of this music would reach. So it was interesting. If you always hear the stories of why people go there until you go there, and I felt like this was the first place I ever thought about internationally considering moving to. And I was also learning French at the time, so I had a reason. But it just reminded me, how do I say Paris is like a French New York.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Yes.
When you think of home, what place comes to your mind?
A few different places. Mexico feels like home sometimes. Sometimes Mississippi feels like home sometimes. Chicago, of course. What's another good place? I want to say London.
Anything particular about London?
You know what? I'm from a very interesting city where the weather is unpredictable. And so I think all those places I named also have similar synergies when it comes to the weather. And also they are it's a conundrum, right? These are heavily populated areas, but can also be very close and very spread. And I think that dichotomy functions well sometimes, because then you think you're in Paris and you go to the other side of the place and you're like, what is this? And just like that in Chicago, there's people that have lived in that city their whole entire life and only explored probably two halves of the city.
And what did sound and look like home in the past as a child? How did it look like? Yeah.
Felt like the days were just slower. Days go by fast, but growing up felt really slow. You know, you're just like, oh God, I can't wait I wonder what happened when da-da-da-da-da. And growing up, I guess every day, when you think about it in hindsight, could feel like a Saturday. You know, this feeling of a nostalgia of, God, this is just cool to just be here, just to do this, just to do that. And as I think about the sound of it, I think it just sounds like laughter. It sounds like great conversation. It sounds like people hearing each other, really being immersed with each other, not just being in space and not utilizing it, you know. I grew up in a musical family, so hearing those things, a place where the music is just honest, that's what home feels like.
That was my initial question was the music at home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the first sound that you fell in love as a child?
Hmm. Actually, I do. I grew up in the Baptist church, and I didn't used to really get the whole entire thing with the music and stuff. I tried to get the understanding of preaching and everything. And then I remember, I don't know what day it was. I just remember I was a kid and I heard them play one of these old hymns. It may have been a song like either "O Ship of Zion," and with that specific Negro spiritual, it's usually sung a cappella, so it's just voices.
Can
And
you
to
give?
feel this wave of sound, I'm not entitled to stop being a child and being, immersed in playing and whatever. But at that moment, it's as if everything just suspended and I had no control but to pay attention to it. Sometimes when we describe these type of textures in music, we would utilize the word omnious. I don't think omnious is the word, rather than it just feels very divine. And divine is also connected with authority. So authoritatively, I had no choice but to just listen. And those type of feelings never left. And I guess that's what I understood how the feeling of church is supposed to feel and be like. If it does not command you, if it does not move one's heart, mind, soul, um, then you're not in the sound of the music. And then learning that that feeling does not just apply in the four walls of a church, but it can be expressed in any musical situation, as long as one is aware. And I just remember thinking to myself, this just feels like this is supposed to be only in here. And then I discovered the music of John Coltrane and started listening to his later stuff. And to me, all I could hear was the same thing I heard that when I was a kid. It's just church, and the black church is just like any other type of what do they call it, denomination. They all still have a similar fulcrum or a similar tradition, but the essence of it still pours out. I grew up. My father was a musician, and so he also played in a lot of churches. So I had a chance to go to probably every church ever: Lutheran, Pentecostal, Methodist, Baptist, Catholic, Kojic. I had a chance to hear the whole spectrum of it. I had a chance to hear the difference of them, but most importantly, I heard the similar thread. And at any time, these same rooms could command the same thing if the right intentions are aligned.
Who gave you this courage to do what you're doing now? Did someone inspire you
My
in a very?
parents, yeah, my
Mm-hmm.
parents.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a person back in that these days where you could go and talk about anything that you had in your mind or in your heart? Did you had this person that you could say anything you wanted?
Yeah, I would definitely say I had some great mentors along the way.
Mm-hmm.
People like Bobby Watson, Vincent Davis, and most particularly, I leaned on these older musicians because they've been in a route that I have yet to fully discover. And it's funny to see how they can laugh at the problems. And you'd be like, no, man, this is serious. This is serious. And like, but this is seriously not the worst thing in your life. Just keep going, you know. Uh, and I think, because sometimes I feel the word community is really abused and miscontextualized. A fraternity doesn't necessarily reflect community because it's only for a select group of people. Community is supposed to be welcome to everybody. Even the irony of church is supposed to be community, but as I grew up, I would see small cracks, not even just it just all over in these contradictions sometimes because people's biases of how they saw their faith, but also come their biases of how they treat people. But the contradiction is the religion does not teach that. So you just look like, okay, so how are you really? Because the person that they always talk about having a Christ-like mentality, and Yahshua was open to any and everyone. Doesn't mean you just let people take advantage of you, but open to receive them and hear them, which is a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do because we as people come with baggage. People come with our prejudice. We're just to prejudge before we even know, because maybe I've had somebody I thought that was like that, so they must be, and it must be this, and so we miss the point. We miss the point.
How is these days? Do you have your community around you?
Yeah, I think community is like, it comes and goes. As one elevates, you have to be around people that are also elevating. And I don't know whoever told people that elevation is uncomfortable.
We're going to talk about it too. If you, just to sum up a little bit the childhood, if your childhood had a soundtrack, how would it sound to you?
My sound, like, should I list songs or just how would it sound like?
Whatever, it's your mind.
Well, it would sound like everything I grew up listening to.
Yeah. Who are these people?
A lot of people. I mean, my parents listened to everything. Like, my mother even told me, she's like, "You were the only kid in the womb that I actually listened to all types of music with." So I guess that's why I naturally don't care to rap. I just love music. You know, it could have been Michael Jackson. It could have been Frankie Belvedere Mays, Earth, Wind and Fire, Fred Hammond, Richard Smallwood. We just lost. Dr. Shirley Caesar, Rance Allen, and then go into some Bobby Caldwell, and then Bob Marley and the Wailers, Miles. I mean, my parents were musical polyglots. So I was just, just around a lot of different stuff.
There are lots of maturity and wisdom in your music. Is this something that you were taught or you experienced on your own? Where does it come from?
Well, the only way you get wisdom is to be one unwise person. I think you got to decide if you're going to stop running from wisdom. You know, some lessons are harder than other, and you either can consciously absorb them and learn from them, or you can passively claim ignorance until you can't. And I'm at a place where I just can't.
You're already a big voice for the younger musicians. Do you feel this responsibility to spread the things on? And
I mean, yes and no. I think we get a misconception of how it's supposed to be done. Oh, you're supposed to just come here. I used to feel the same way about a lot of people. But, you know, some people do better by leading by example than leading inside of a classroom. And sometimes that classroom, or the classroom is the auditorium. That classroom is the club. That classroom is everywhere. That's not necessarily the way we formalize believe education is supposed to be received. I've learned a lot from a lot of people who have never taught me nothing formally. But my mother always said every situation is a learning situation. You're either learning what to do and what not to do.
yeah,
Now you have to choose.
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's true though.
I like to speak with the trumpet and saxophone players about silence. You are more silence or sound?
It depends what the music asks for.
Lots of jazz musicians, they like to listen, or they like silence, or they like something which is not played, or they like communicate. How all these factors are important for you in music and in life?
Well, the thing is, there's no difference. And I think that's the main problem. A lot of people think that they just stop being one. You just get to go away. All the great composers that we look up to, whether it be Ravel, Debussy, Bach, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, all these other different people, they were in an era where not necessarily you could just play your favorite song. Yes, records exist, but records were also distributed in certain places and also not certain places. Some people could afford to have the record player to play it, some people couldn't. So this balance of being in life, and the thing about art is about imitating life, but life is art. So you're never not hearing music. The question is, how do I contextualize this music? How do I make it tangible? And that's the beautiful process of it. But the main thing about music is at all times, it requires you to be listening, which is painful sometimes because sometimes listening to silence can be maddening. But only through silence do you actually start laying the foundation to have an idea, which we call motifs. Um, so, I mean, I've had to learn how I used to be a person who used to listen to headphones all the time. Now, when I go around, and especially when I travel, I just walk around with no headphones because now I can hear the sounds of the city, the sounds of an area. Now I can understand when people travel there, what's this feeling that they describe about the place. The music is there. You just have to be listening to it. It's not something that you can just plug in your headphones and block the world away, because to block away the world means to block away the music. To block away the music means you're not making anything. You're playing something, but you have not made. And this is always a creative endeavor at all times.
You said the risk is a part of being great. You can't be great without taking risk.
Mm-hmm.
Can you unpack what is risk? What does it mean to you?
I guess, it's almost like, unfortunately, this is a bad comparison. It's like gambling. Seven, the dice spins. You got that one five. All you need is two. All you need is two. You're like, and then miraculously, just when it's about to be one, it says two.
So that's a gambling?
But it is a gamble, right?
Yeah.
You have to, but really, I mean, I had a mentor, he said this to me one time because I was constantly trying to figure out, I was performing, I was doing stuff. Well, man, how can I really do this, to the next level? And he just said, you got to place a bet on yourself. You're betting on everybody else being successful. How come you haven't betted on your own self?
Taking a risk is just like taking a decision even every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes, to me, it's a lot of fear.
And I mean, that's what it is. And at a certain point, you just gotta say, I hope you can censor this part, but okay, just jump, just jump. And you'd be surprised what's down there waiting for you to catch you and keep you moving. But to do it, to watch it and never do it, it creates this silent, it's a silent assassination of your character to not take the risk that would bring you fulfillment. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed hearing this music. I enjoyed hearing it be played to the highest level. I've been curious, what would it feel like to be alive at the times when these people were alive? The only way to know what that feels like is to make sure you're holding yourself to a standard every time.
With the risk, we need to talk as well about the intuition. There's so much noise as well today, by the way, outside, but as well lots of like many distractions. How do you learn to listen your intuition?
Well, for anybody, I think if you have a connection with the divine, that makes it a little bit easier. But you also just have to, this is the balance, even in any spiritual practice, there's a certain form of isolation that is inserted. Whether it be meditation, whether it be prayer, whether it be affirmation, you must remove yourself from it. Because if you're around too much these other things, you start hearing everybody else's voice more than you hear yours. And if you can't hear your voice when you're around somebody else's voice, then that means you're not in alignment with yourself. And when you're not in alignment, you can be misled. And once you're led astray. Happens to the best of us. I've been there, done that, and now you have to choose to do better. And most importantly, you have to prioritize your health. It's a health thing more than it is just like, the intuition is always trying to protect you and guide you to the most optimal decision and path. And sometimes we have to relinquish this idea of what we want and look at what we need.
Do you think it's easier for musicians to listen to intuition, or you are just then stuck in your own noise?
It can be that. I think it can be either or. Some people are that, some people aren't that. And that simply comes down to those people wanting to listen. They listen, and some people, and it's like, this is like a themyscira, right? Intuition or desire. Do the thing you're supposed to do or do the thing you want to do. How does that balance hang? But I think it works when the priorities are in alignment. When you do everything you're supposed to do first, then the want is the cherry on the top. But if that want outweighs the need, then you'll get what you want. May not keep it as long. It'll come and go, but it won't stay long. But if you do it, what you need to do, now you've built a foundation for it to sustain.
I have for you 5 random questions. There you go.
Oh, I have to pick them.
You have to, yeah, you're going to eventually pick
Straight
up
to
all
the
of
middle.
them. Should I read? Okay,
Sure.
so if you could disappear for a month, no schedule, where would you go?
Mexico.
Okay. Now we know where we're gonna find you. Do you overthink more in life or in music?
There's no difference. So both.
Both. There you go. Okay. More croissants or more cheese?
I'm gonna say croissants because I'm lactose intolerant. Do I still probably get a little bit of cheese? Maybe, but for now, for the safety.
All right. If you had to explain what do you do to a child without using the word music, what would you say?
Oh, sonic sciences.
This is easy. Easy. If you were to write a book one day, what would the story be about?
It'd be like an epic. Like similar to like the Odyssey or something.
Okay, I'm surprised with this answer because I thought that you're going to say some motivational book, which I'm looking forward you're going to one day
not
write.
yet. I gotta get a little bit more motivations to get that part first. But maybe, I mean, but you didn't say how many books. You said if I wrote a book.
Yeah,
right?
the first book.
The first book.
The first one.
Yeah, but you never know. You never know. But maybe a quote book would be better.
Yeah, that would be so.
A quote book would be better.
Looking forward to. Isaiah, thank you very much for a meeting. And ladies and gentlemen, the voice of our generations, the voice that we're gonna listening for a long time.